Hey everybody, it's Party Elite. Welcome back to IXION Let's Play, where things are looking rather terrifying now that we've arrived at the next system. Right on top of this absolutely massive debris field belonging to an absolutely huge superstructure. Folks, I'm a little concerned because if this is what's happened to these guys, what's going to happen to us? Well, one way to prepare for the future, folks, is to learn from the past, and our first objective over here is to investigate the command center wreckage. So why don't we go ahead and send the Galileo over to do exactly that, investigate this destroyed command center to understand the fate of the Etemenanki, and let's go ahead and accumulate those science points as well, and use them as planned to upgrade our tech lab so that in the future, when we run out of points of interest and we can't accumulate science out there in the system anymore, we'll at least be able to generate it quickly with computing optimization. In order to get there, again, just as a reminder, we actually have to go down this entire path, and only then will we be able to unlock computing optimization. So let's go ahead and get started, right? Let's research personal computer, move down this list as quickly as possible. And again, this was the plan for the last little while. As we gather science points from points of interest, we'll be able to research a lot more quickly and actually get to the stuff that matters a lot more quickly. And then once we're done with computing optimization, we'll be able to generate 5 science points every 3 cycles, which is a lot faster than our current 5 science points every 5 cycles, right? So that's going to be hugely helpful, especially when we run out of science to collect from points of interest out there. And then we can go ahead and focus on, our mess hall upgrades, our crop farm upgrades. Some of you were suggesting maybe we actually chase after the algae farm. So a lot of great ideas out there, including, of course, train stations, health centers, all kinds of stuff to do. But priority number 1, that tech lab. And actually, a bit of a lie that, because priority number 1 is sending our probe out to find resources. Again, we have no iron, right? If ice goes down to 0, we're in trouble. We can't produce electronics right now, so we need a huge variety of resources, and this is why we kept a probe in our back pocket as well, right? So that we could start mining as soon as we got to the next system. So why don't we go ahead and seek out some potential spots here. I realize right off the bat that these clouds are points of interest, and that's cool. At least we won't have to go, digging around for them. I just wonder what's going on, but I can't get distracted by points of interest right now. I need to, yes, find, for example, iron and carbon deposits. That's the primary concern right now, and my hope, that I don't think we're going to be able to pull off, but my hope is that we'll be able to get everything done for this system. Oh, this is a really sweet spot. You know what? I'm not even going to keep looking. Let's go ahead and launch a probe over here. Let's launch a probe over here, because that's such a sweet spot, and I don't want to lose it. We know we're going to need all of those resources, and we know we're going to have to assign our... oh god, these guys need proper reassigning, eh? Quicksilver and Pandora, let's get you chasing after iron, and let's make silicon and carbon our second priorities, respectively. And the Zoti can focus just on iron. But yes, as I was getting at just moments ago, I want to try and get out of the system relying only on the top half, because if we have to go down over here for resources, our ships are in danger. And it occurs to me right now, using pattern recognition, that these clouds down over here among the storm clouds are probably also points of interest. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have to end up in here and deal with inclement weather. But if I can avoid it, I would love to. If we can stay out of this, storm field, that'd be great. So yes, I'm trying to use everything up over here as quickly as possible, while also moving through our objectives as quickly as possible, so we can get out of this rather dangerous looking system. What is actually the system's name again? It is Theta Cruces. I assume that's how that's pronounced. Nonetheless, there are other matters to attend to as well. So just to double check, the Galileo is headed over. We're going to collect science. We're going to see what's going on over here. But on the interior of the Tiqqun, it's time to make some decisions with regards to our food situation. Now, look, I don't think I feel comfortable with over 200 cryonic pods just sitting there looking pretty. Undoubtedly, we're eventually going to find cryonic pods out and about, right? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bunch to be collected from here as well, right? So we got to be prepared for the inevitability of lots more people arriving at our station in the very near future. And so let's start waking some of these people up. But of course, that's not an option until we provide for their food needs, which is going to skyrocket. I mean, we're at a pretty good spot right now, but those numbers are going to be thrown out of balance, you know, as soon as we start waking people up. Now, I got some great suggestions, and some excellent points were raised in the comments of the previous episode with regards to our approach for crop farms versus mushroom walls. And the end decision over here might actually come as a bit of a surprise. The ultimate consideration over here is the fact that crop farms and fields need water, whereas mushroom walls need waste. Water needs ice. Ice is a finite resource in any given system. So, if we rely too heavily on crop farms and fields, we end up relying too heavily on a resource that we have, as many of you pointed out, little control over. Whereas with waste, we're always going to have waste. I don't want to call it infinite, but let's be real. The crop farms produce waste. Our water, fusion station over here produces waste. Our industrial sector all produces waste. Waste is a constant. It's just how it is. So, having a mushroom wall to use that waste to produce food is more sustainable than relying on water, which who knows when we'll run out of ice, right? So with that in mind, and with a lot of math I did before I started recording this session, we're going to be doing a bit of a redesign up over here that should be beneficial to our station for quite some time, actually, and should take care of our food situation for quite a bit of time. Let's go ahead and dismantle a few buildings here. First of all, our EVA airlock, which is very kind of weird to do. This is one of the oldest structures on the station, but yes, it is time to get rid of this EVA airlock. It's also time to get rid of this stockpile over here, and rather frighteningly, it's time to get rid of this crop farm. I'm going to go ahead and make sure we harvest what is currently available. Not too much, just want to make sure we have that harvested. And yes, we're going to actually go ahead and get rid of you too. And it'll all make sense as soon as all this dismantling is done. Don't worry, I have thought this through. And unless I've made a terrible mistake with my math, this should work out. Now, I don't think one stockpile is going to be enough for all the alloys we're about to free up over here. So let's go ahead and get this stockpile chasing after alloys as well. And that way, we should have enough room, and we should be able to empty all this stuff out, and then we should be able to build our mushroom walls. While we're waiting for all that to happen, I don't think I'm pursuing anything else in particular, just waiting for at least some additional food production before we, start awakening people from their cryonic pods, so that should be all well and good. I could also, yes, perhaps turn this off, as some of you pointed out in the comments. It's probably not a bad idea now, actually. But, yeah, I think we're good to let time move forward. Stability is looking pretty good across the board. These guys are seeing neutral stability. What's going on over here? What's going on over here? They're upset about infirmaries. Oh, you know what? I should be able to change that now, shouldn't I? Yeah, I should be able to change that now. Why don't we go ahead and adjust our policies to get normal infirmaries once more, allowing us to once more change our policy more quickly rather than, holding off on this and then finding myself up against a wall. But yes, okay, excellent. So these guys are happy now. We might want to pursue building a monument over here maybe. These guys up over here are at +3, excellent, and these guys are at +2. So we can actually start accumulating waste over here and shifting it over to Sector 1 whenever we deem it necessary. I don't think it is right quite yet, but I do think it's a good idea to get all these guys turned on so that we can keep an eye on our actual power situation and build, solar panels accordingly. But I think that's all of our prep work done. Let's go ahead and have time move forward, and let's just make sure that we are, yes, making progress on the personal computer over here for the tech lab, and let's make sure as well that we're keeping an eye on the Galileo as it arrives at the destroyed command center. We're going to go ahead and let it accumulate all this science first so we can keep making progress as far as our tech lab is concerned. And then we'll engage with this event, as it seems there is something happening. Oh, there's a couple of things happening on the station. What do we have over here? Strength of the collective. Administrator, the crew are encouraged by how many survivors we have brought aboard the Tiqqun. The increased population reinforces the feeling that our goal of saving humanity is achievable. The new crew members, woken from cryonic pods, are now part of something bigger than themselves. Okay, well that's good. I was a little worried that it was going to be a negative event because we'd kept that thing shut down for so long, but this is very promising, acknowledged, of course. Yeah, it's going to give us a trust bonus. Every time this illustration comes up, it's a boost to our trust, which we haven't really needed. We've done a pretty good job, I would say, of keeping trust up for the most part, so, and our data listing protocol there, but there's another event down over here at this EVA airlock. What's going on over here? Whoa, oh, no. Oh, no. Administrator, a sector has converted to the cult of the hull. This has had a positive impact on the morale of the crew. The converts are waiting to hear your opinion on their worship. Sanctifying the Tiqqun and its facilities does not directly violate any Dolos directives. This is interesting. Embrace the writings of Barjaville. The Tiqqun is a body. The hull is its skin. We are its blood, or suppress the cult. Oh my goodness. So we knew this was coming, right? Because as some of you pointed out in the comments actually a handful of episodes ago, the tech tree kind of spoils that something like this is going to be happening. I didn't know, though, how it would come about. So here we are. It's just a natural progression, I suppose, of arriving at this superstructure and seeing just pure mayhem and destruction. Now, I'm not sure if there's a right answer here. Protocol doesn't dictate anything. I think I'm going to allow the people to embrace the cult. I know. It sounds like a terrible decision, and it probably is, but the way I see it right now is, first of all, it's going to have a positive impact on the morale of the crew. We've been told as much. Second of all, maybe there is something to be said for the unifying force of religion, right? Like, time and time again, it's helped in a variety of ways to keep people in check, to keep power structures in place, to encourage people to do things, to discourage people from doing other things. I don't know. I don't want to get into a whole theological conversation over here, but all that to say this, I think having the people believe that they're a part of something bigger and that maintaining the Tiqqun is important beyond just their worldly bodies might have a positive impact. Alternatively, we could end up in a pit of fire and brimstone for all I know, but fine. We will embrace the writings of Barjaville. The Tiqqun is a body. The hull is its skin. We are its blood. I really hope this doesn't come to bite us in the butt. But folks, that's the decision I'm sticking with because I think it makes sense given our circumstances. I think it actually makes sense. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if any of you chose the other way and know of any immediate consequences, I would love to hear those as well. But make sure to leave a note in the comment as well, starting with the word spoiler. Leave a couple of spaces, not just for myself, but also for anybody else who's casually scrolling through the comments. I don't want the game spoiled for folks just because I'm curious about an alternative decision I could have made. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm very curious, though, as I wait for our next probe to be built. How long is this going to take? We've got plenty of polymers. We actually have a decent bit of carbon as well. I guess it's just stocked up over here. Okay, so that's promising. At least we do have a sort of stockpile of carbon. It just needs to be moved to the actual carbon stockpile, I suppose, to be processed into polymers. So that is definitely promising. But wait, why did I come here in the first place? It's because of a very good reason, which now has slipped my mind, but it's okay, because I'm going to quickly distract myself with the happenings at this workshop. Knocking on heaven's door. Oh, come on, really? We're gonna take a hit to stability, aren't we? Administrator, the debris field we have entered is mostly composed of corpses. The floating bodies bump against the hull and create sounds that reverberate throughout the Tiqqun's sectors. This is not proving beneficial for crew morale. DLS reports indicate that EVA crews are discussing their experiences working outside the Tiqqun with colleagues in mess halls, compounding the problem. Man, damn, understood. And that is going to be, ooh, what is this? Global. The station is surrounded by floating corpses. The crew's morale will be affected. So I was expecting it to be a permanent hit to our stability, but it looks like we're... Oh, okay. All right. It sounded like that was going to cause us some trouble, but I guess we're actually fine. Crew's morale will be affected. Maybe we'll eventually see some issues. But hey, for the time being, we're okay. And for the time being, we have the opportunity to make some adjustments here as well. As actually, there's a few more alloys that need picking up from our crop farm over here. Well, why don't we go ahead and empty some of these stockpiles by building at least one of our planned mushroom walls up over here. And we are able to push this right up against that sector sign. Let's pop you down over there. And separately, let's go ahead and take a look at the situation at the destroyed command center. Ruins. Command center. Summary of intelligence on the Etemenanki's command center. Initial reports indicate that we have found the wreckage of the Etemenanki's command center. The UN ship appears to have been attacked. Transmission from the Galileo's team. Although the command center of the Etemenanki is heavily armored, the structure has suffered terrible bombardment. It appears as if something sliced through the larger superstructure of the Etemenanki. This must have dislodged the center and separated it from the rest of the ship. Numerous pieces of debris and corpses float around the ruin. We have located a breach within the armor plating that should allow us to get inside. Oh no, don't bait me like this, game. Why would you do this? I mean, I guess we don't have a choice, right? This is our primary objective, so I guess you're not really baiting me if I have no other choice. Okay, fair enough. I don't have to feel bad if we take on losses doing the expected move here. The Galileo's team will enter the command center through the identified breach. It'll take them 2 cycles. Sounds good. Enter away. And I realize now why I'd actually gone into the interior. It was to check on our probe construction, which I realize now has actually, yes, been completed. And we can go ahead and send a next probe out. Let's go ahead and investigate opportunities to maybe gather some ice. We have some ice right now, but I don't want to, you know, be up against a wall when we're seeking out more ice. There's some good ice available right next to us, so let's go ahead and send the probe over to here. And I just want to double check, did we? Yes, we did in fact adjust. I have to keep an eye on this because this is something I keep forgetting I need to do, fleet management, and it's so essential. Right now, our mining ships are working away primarily on iron. We don't need as much carbon as I previously thought because, again, we have a decent stockpile. So why don't we go ahead and do this kind of a thing. Have the Conan prioritize silicon because, again, we need that for electronics that we need for a variety of things now, and have the cataphract here prioritize iron. And then as far as picking this stuff up, I think this is looking okay. I almost wonder if Sector 2 can't ignore picking up iron because Sector 3 is able to do it as well, right? We'll leave it be as is for the time being, but again, just something I have to keep revisiting, something I have to keep an eye on to make sure I don't fall behind or otherwise get into a problematic situation. Now, on the topic of problematic situations, this is going to be one, isn't it? I don't know what I'm going to be able to fit there, but placing the mushroom wall over here is absolutely essential for my overall plan over here, and I'll explain that in further detail as soon as we empty out the alloys over here. 127 need to be picked up. Do we have room for 127? We do actually have room, especially as we're emptying some of these stockpiles out. Do we have enough electronics for what I'm planning over here? I don't think so. Well, station-wide, yes, but not at this particular sector. So if I look at fleet management again, are we? Yes, we are prioritizing silicon. We are picking some up. Pandora, let's go ahead and make this our approach. And hopefully that'll mean we are able to produce electronics and get a move on and not be so stagnant. Iron hopefully is coming through soon as well, and we're not going to have to see these warning signs for too much longer. But separately, let's take a look at the system map. There's our ice field over there, quite a bit to mine, so that's definitely promising. But as soon as our next probe is done, I do wonder if I go chasing after some of those points of interest that we were seeing, or if I still chase after more resources. We've kind of got our essentials in place, which is good to see, and there is our probe ready. But right now the Calypso is kind of sitting idle. It's not doing anything, which is obviously not good. We could instead have it seeking out some of these points of interest, maybe accumulating additional science points and allowing us to make some progress as far as our tech upgrades are concerned, right? I think that's probably a good idea. Let's just take a quick look around over here. I mean, there's quite a few hotspots for resources, a lot more ice over there. We got some more silicon over here. Really hoping that we can get out of the system relying only on this half of the system for resource gathering. A lot of silicon over here. And let's just check actually really quickly. Yeah, point of interest, point of interest, point of interest, and point of interest. If I can avoid sending anything there, I will, because everything can be destroyed by this kind of weather, right? Again, it's a dice roll. It's a dice roll, but why take those chances if we don't have to? Seems as though one of our objectives is up over here. Again, presumably locating a viable planet. But I don't think I'm in a rush for that, or am I, actually? Because we could collect science, we could also get colonization happening, but that distracts some of our cargo ships, though right now I don't feel as much of a pressure, I suppose. So, okay, you know what? Sure. Why don't we go up over here and hope that we get science as well as a viable planet to colonize and get some additional science from as well. Not sure about that decision, but you know what? It's a decision we've made, and it's the one that we now have to live with. Can we get this electronic up over here? No, we can't, because this is technically not an electronics stockpile anymore. So I gotta switch that so we can actually get this sent over. Good stuff. This is going to get built now. 55 more alloys are not going to fit up over there. Oh, you know what? Okay, fair enough. Let's go ahead and build our crop farm down over here like so that these alloys are going to be emptied out a little bit, and this will also take a unit of electronics. So we really do have to get electronics going a little bit faster than previously. Okay, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. It's okay. As long as one mushroom wall gets built up while this thing has been dismantled, we'll be okay. Is it optimal? No. But we have a huge stockpile of food, so I'm not as nervous as I otherwise would be. While this concerns me a little bit, obviously, we do not have enough ice to produce any more water, but fortunately, we've got a huge water stockpile, so we should be okay. What's going on over here now? Why do you do this to me, game? What's going on over here? Frozen memories. Administrator. While Sector 1 has contained potential new crew members in cryopods for a while now, there are no active cryonic centers in the sector. This leaves the crew extremely concerned. No one likes cryonic sleep, and some of them still remember the first cryonic accidents during the Earth's epidemics. To allay their fears, the cryopod's inhabitants should be awoken as soon as possible. Alright, fine. Alright, fine. That's exactly what I expected, having had the cryonic center shut down for so long. So we will pledge to turn on every cryonic center in Sector 1 for 30 cycles. My goodness. My goodness. And the data listening protocol, how long do we have to actually pull the trigger on this? We have 40 cycles, so in 9 cycles, if I flip the switch on this, we should be okay. I'm not going to wait that long because that's cutting it too close, but I'm going to wait at least until this mushroom wall gets built up and make a decision at that point in time, which is actually right now. Of course, the game's just pressuring me to move faster and faster, eh? 40 alloys, we got enough room, so this should be dismantled soon enough, and I can... Yeah, you know what? Okay, fine, fine. With that happening, I'm a bit more comfortable turning this cryonics center back on. And I'm also happy to see we are seeing progress as far as iron and alloy production. Okay, good stuff. Back out at the system map, we can now take a look at the destroyed command center once more. Summary of intelligence on the Etemenanki's command center. The frozen rooms through which the Galileo's team have had to navigate are from a nightmare. Projectile damage covers most surfaces, and there are signs of electrical fires having raged throughout the corridors. This is not to discount the ever-present grim sight of severed corpses. Upon entering the bridge, the team discovered the bodies of the commander-in-chief and other officers. It appears they took their own lives. We must retrieve the Remus data. The Tiqqun should be kept in close proximity to the command center. This will allow the Galileo's team to use the station's power via the retractable telescopic pole and access the center's terminals. Well, that's an interesting development. I was hoping to get out of here sooner rather than later, because I don't like that skull symbol when we're looking at the interior. But let's end the data listening protocol over here, and I suppose let's recover the coordinates of the exoplanet Remus. The team of the Galileo will search for any data that may contain the coordinates of the exoplanet Remus. The Tiqqun should be kept in proximity to supply power. Gotcha. Okay, so we can leave right now if we want to, but if we decide to recover these coordinates right now, we're stuck here for the next 4 cycles, which, sure, let's get this done with, right? Let's recover the coordinates of the exoplanet Remus. Let's see what these guys have to offer. And you know what? With this next probe, let's go ahead and seek out what? There's another point of interest out over here. And this one's not related to an objective. Okay, sure. Let's go for it. I worry a little bit about being distracted by these points of interest. How much iron do we have over here? 650 to be mined still up over here. About 200 silicon, give or take. We've got 100 or so carbon as well. So we will need to seek out additional resource deposits, obviously, but I guess it's not as much of a rush. I don't know. I worry about saying that. I worry about saying that as we discover Truck P42 up over here. Let's send the Calypso over right away because we'll need a science ship to do anything. And a probe has detected a new planet eligible for colonization tests, right? So might as well do our secondary objective at the same time. Back to the interior. By the way, this is the skull I was talking about, corpse field, something I would rather not have to see every time we go inside. But I did want to check. Yes, the cryonic center is active. I slipped my mind if we'd already done that or not, even though I made such a fuss about it. I just wanted to make sure because this red tells me, you know, warning, basically. But no, we've got it active. It's already been one cycle. 29 more to go. We'll probably see quite a few of these guys awoken, right? If we... 0.2 cycles wakes one person up, which means 5 people per cycle. In 30 cycles, that's 150, right? That was quick math. I think I got it right. That's going to be a strain. That's going to be a strain, but I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be fine. How is our probe construction going? Oh, pretty well, actually. That's a lot faster than I expected. Let's launch you out to where? Seek out more resources. It's a good spot somewhere up over here. Anything closer to us? It's a lot of carbon there. Oh, another point of interest. Oh, that must be... Right, because of the clouds, right? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Come on, give me something. Something of value. Oh, there's some iron out over here. Oh, there's a lot of iron out somewhere over here. It's a long distance to travel, but I mean, it's something, right? Where'd you go? Come on, there it is. Resource estimate medium. Might as well, right? And then the next probes can continue to explore closer to us. It doesn't hurt to find things that are further away from us. It's not like it's going to, you know, kill us. I mean, unless it does. I don't know. I don't know what kind of twists and turns await us. I will mention on that note that I've seen quite a few comments over the last couple of sessions now, I suppose, that start with the words like spoilers for the next sector and stuff along those lines. While I appreciate the attempts at warning me about what's to come, I do try to avoid reading those until maybe after the fact, because I want the game to take me by surprise. I want to be kneecapped. I want to go, oh crap, I wish I knew that this was going to happen, and then, you know, have to deal with the situation in a panic. For me, with games like this, that's kind of half the fun. So I appreciate the attempts at warning me about what might be coming, but at the same time, I just want to let you know that I like the thrill of danger, I suppose, the danger of not knowing and of being surprised by what's to come. Let's go ahead and put some fields down while we can. I like surprises, not when that surprise involves not having enough food for our population, but we should be able to, yes, fit... we should be able to actually fit more. I think we can get all the way up to 8, because all we'll need, as you'll see shortly, is that edge for my plans over here. Our science ship has arrived at Truck P42. Let's go ahead and take a look at the situation over here. Summary of intelligence on Cruck P42 scans. I don't know how to actually say it. C-R-U-C-P, I suppose. That sounds nicer than Cruck. Cruck sounds like, I don't know, terrible place to be. P42, another good name for it, is eligible for colonization testing. Data collection will help shape future Dolos initiatives. Transmission from the Calypso's team. We have landed on P42. The planet is bathed in a toxic yellow haze, which severely reduces visibility. First measurements have recorded trace amounts of oxygen in the planet's atmosphere. We have also noted the presence of a few species of bacteria on the shores of Mada, one of P42's cyanide oceans. I'm sorry, this is supposed to be a viable location for colonization? This sounds like a hellhole. Of course, we're going to establish advanced neocon colony infrastructure. I think that's necessary. It will consume quite a bit of food and alloys both, but I think we'll be okay. Again, we can prioritize this now while most of our cargo ships are, you know, not rushing to bring us resources because we're in an okay zone as far as some things are concerned. So sure, establish advanced neocon colony infrastructure, and let's go ahead and send who? The koala, I suppose? That makes sense. Empty out some of those alloys, right? Sure, let's use the koala over here because it is just standing by, and this is where all the food is going to be produced. Of course, colonists aren't available over here, but we can ship them over temporarily to move them from Sector 1, or maybe we can reassign koala to Sector 3. But yes, I will confirm that. We'll close this. That'll take a fair bit of time to actually get done, but hey, at least we're making progress. And oh my goodness, would you look at that? 44 science to be accumulated over here. Unfortunately, the Calypso is locked in place, so hopefully the Galileo will be done at the destroyed command center in, one cycle now. Hopefully there won't be another thing to keep us stuck there, and we can go chasing after the 44 science points available down over here at P38, while this probe here needs to be launched towards something else. Let's go ahead and see. It's carbon there. There's, ooh, you know what, there's an okay spot over here. Why don't we go ahead and send you over? Again, this stuff is actually very close to us, very convenient, and that just makes me worry. Why is it so convenient? Should I have saved these guys for later or something like that? I don't know. I don't know. Call me paranoid, but there's a literal skull staring at me every time we go to the interior, so I think I'm allowed to be at least a little paranoid. And I also just realized, I was wondering about this for a while. It's like, oh, our science is accumulating. That's because we're not still researching. So let's go ahead and queue up PA-assisted management. So again, we can chase after computing optimization. A bit of time wasted there, but let's be honest with ourselves. We're going to drain our science extremely quickly, and then we'll be playing the waiting game anyway. So it's not like any real time was actually wasted there. Nonetheless, progress is being made now. And we've got these fields being built. Okay, that feels good. 34 alloys need to be removed. Are you able to? Yes, you are. You should be able to. Let's go ahead and put a road down like so to make it a little bit easier to actually get over there. Obviously, the road needs to be built, and that'll take a minute as well. But let's start making progress where we can. And it's good to see these fields being built. Now, again, food is still looking okay. In the sense that we have a huge surplus, but as you can see, our current average production covers only 102% of meal requirements. That's very close to being sub 100%, and I just want to stay on top of that, obviously. Separately, cryonic pods are being emptied out, so to speak. People are being woken up. It's been 5 cycles now. Things are still looking relatively manageable, though it looks like homelessness is on the rise in Sector 1 now, so I do wonder if we get ahead of that by building some demotic quarters to replace these old optimized houses, right? So let's go ahead and dismantle. Well, do we have space for the alloys? I really want this thing taken care of first. 26 alloys. How much will we get from dismantling one of these? Quite a few, I think. Quite a few. All right, fine. Let's wait for this to get taken care of, and then we'll go ahead and dismantle one of these and build up the demotic quarters. Just because I want to get these mushroom walls set up. I want to get my food production set up properly, and homelessness doesn't start becoming a problem until a little bit later. Meanwhile, in Sector 1, we have a new event. Oh no. Why? It makes me so nervous when an important structure has an event available. What's going on over here? At the limits of fraternity. That doesn't sound very promising. Administrator, the animosity between former crew members of the Protagoras and Etemenanki is becoming a problem. Accommodating survivors from both crews together in the Tiqqun threatens the stability of the station. Plane protocols recommend temporary separation till tensions ease. Initiate population transfer, and individuals will be sorted automatically using DLS data. So we can either say we do not have time for this, we must put aside our differences and move forward, or we can have 100 crew members moved from Sector 1 to Sector 2 to address this. Now, Sector 2 will be seeing, further industrialization and stuff. I think it's got plenty of room still for more housing, so I suppose we could promise the separation. As much as I believe that we should look past our petty squabbles and our differences, I think the reality is that if we try and force that, we might have some situations on our hands. You can't force bonding. Well, it's not entirely true. Bonding through trauma is definitely a thing, but that's not what I want for my people. I think we'll ship 100 people over from Sector 1 to Sector 2 to address this, and hopefully down the line they'll grow to get along at the very least. So 100 crew members will be moved from Sector 1 to Sector 2 to address this, and I do hope that this option doesn't result in the fracturing of our station, of the Sector 1 versus the Sector 2 versus the Sector 3, etc., etc. I don't know. Things could go any which way, really. Do we actually have enough room for people in Sector 2 already? We have Nah, not enough room for another 100 people. So why don't we go ahead and build another set of demotic quarters over here using the population tab to find our building. And you should fit snugly over here, which I quite like. So yeah, let's pop you down there. And let's actually initiate the transfer right away as well, as it does look like we are able to produce electronics now. So I don't have to worry too much about consuming some here and there as people continue to get injured. But hey, at least no one is dying. Population management, let's send 100 workers, I think, because we'll still have a surplus of workers and more will be woken up as well. So let's go with 100 workers from Sector 1 to Sector 2. Start that migration, because again, it will take some time, and hopefully by the time they arrive, we'll actually have that demotic quarters set up, and it looks like that's probably pretty likely to happen, as over here, this is interesting, the last thing being done is the construction of this road. I was expecting that to happen simultaneously, but I suppose dismantling is handled by the same guy that actually does the mantling, let's call it. But with that done, I should now be able to get rid of the road over here. Come on, let me, yeah, good stuff. I should also be able to put my road down like so, and I should be able to get under food, mushroom walls set up over here, and yes, here, perfect, perfect. So that, folks, should be far more effective than having a crop farm up over here with just 4 fields, or whatever the math was that we'd done previously. I do believe this is more effective and also, as mentioned earlier, more sustainable. With that said, let's go ahead and build our last crop field over here. Looks very neat and tidy, which makes me very happy as well. I can be a little neurotic about that stuff sometimes, and this was definitely bothering me. So even though this is suboptimal, it is visually more appealing, and overall, it's a lot more optimal, right? The overall system works out just fine. And you know what? I actually wonder if we can't put in our mess halls up over here instead. We can fit one there, and we can fit... Ooh. We can actually fit our mess halls up over here, which would free this area up. And then if we got rid of our insect farms, we'd be able to put some mushroom walls down over here, perhaps, and maybe actually... Well, that's not a decision we have to make right now, but it's good to know we have that in our back pocket if and when necessary. And on the topic of things in our back pocket, let's go ahead and send our probe out to seek out more resources. There's more ice over here. Is there anything? Ooh, lots of carbon up over here. Oh, look at that. That's a lot of iron. All right, you know what? Let's go after that iron. Resource estimate high. Let's go up over there, and there's a few other resource clumps over there. It looks like we'll be in a pretty good position as we check out the destroyed command center. Transmission from the Galileo's team. Administrator, the Remus coordinates aren't here. As you know, Vol coordinates are incredibly complex algorithms that require advanced technology for their storage and application. We did identify a storage area within the command center where such equipment, perhaps including that stolen from the Protagoras, should have been held. It has been ripped away, shorn by cutting lasers, and taken. There is some small hope. A single damaged calculator terminal was found. Power supplied from the Tiqqun has allowed us to access it. It appears that in the Etemenanki's final moments, while they attempted to address the colossal damage done to their ship, the crew were able to identify and record the self-similar signature of their attacker as it withdrew. Perhaps they hoped to later mount some sort of pursuit to recover the stolen coordinates of Remus. We're now in possession of that signature. It belongs to the Piranesi, a ship of the Black Market Society. This is where our hope fades. The few officers' logs we have found that detail the attack are terrifying. It seems highly likely that the coordinates of Remus are now on board the Piranesi. Having processed the data we have found within the center, and thanks to old recordings of now inactive distress signals, we have been able to locate other parts of the Etemenanki which have drifted across this system. Okay, hang on. Alright, so I was wondering when the Black Market Society would become relevant again, and so here we are. They are still very much a thing. They weren't just left behind, in one of the prior sectors to be forgotten. So that's a little concerning, because what can take out such a massive superstructure? A super-duper structure, right? Like, I'm a little concerned about these terrifying reports, but hey, at least we've got additional science points ready for extraction. Let's end the data listening protocol there, and I can actually investigate further into the attack, or I can determine the Etemenanki's previous mission objectives. I imagine I should be able to do both of these, but before we decide on either, let's go ahead and, yes, collect these science points so that we're making progress as far as our tech lab is concerned, and so that, again, we're generating more science more quickly to keep us ahead of the curve, because I'm a little nervous about where that might end up. But otherwise, things are seeming fairly comfortable, and I think we might even be able to speed time up over here, because, yeah, things are feeling terrifyingly okay. Right now, the koala is sending more alloys over. We're almost done. Another 2 round trips of alloys necessary after the one that's going on right now. That'll take us to 60, and a third one will take us up to 90. 3 round trips to bring food over, and then we can deal with colonists, and that's part of the reason why I'm glad we're tackling this early on, so that we don't have to worry about this in the middle of chaos that might be, waiting for us with low resources and stuff like that. New policy can be set in Sector 3. That's not necessary, though, I don't think, as in Sector 3 people are happy with a +2 stability. Same thing over here, +2, and over here as well, +2, though this is new. -1 from the corpses floating outside the station. So I guess this corpse field has finally had its impact, and it's dropped our stability a little bit. Not so much that I'm worried. And you know what? In Sector 2, we're still at +2, which means we will still be able to enact our waste management policies, which I think will be necessary now that we have, 4 mushroom walls over here. I don't think we'll be able to keep up with that until the crop farms start producing more waste. Though, why wait for that, right? Why don't we go ahead and make that adjustment to Sector 2 right now by building a... or no, actually, you know what? Let's get this thing reassigned to do waste. Let's go ahead and get waste recycling activated. And yeah, let's get you storing waste and turn you back on so that now we can take a look at resource management and get Sector 2 exporting its waste to Sector 1 so that Sector 1 is maxed out at all times, and hopefully that doesn't cause us too many problems until, of course, something causes our stability to drop further, and then we're in panic mode, and who knows how that'll play out. But hey, that's a problem for future Party Elite, as the second mushroom wall here is now being built, and as our overall food balance seems to be okay for the time being. Let's go ahead and send our next probe out as well. Is there... oh, there's a point of interest here. Oh, must be another planet, right? Of course, because these are the orbital... oh, you know what? No, it's close to us. There is something nearby. Where are you? Where are you? It's like this entire ring almost. Extremely close to us. It seems to spike. Is it... oh, it might just be because of this. Oh, yeah, you know what? I think it is. There's something in here as well. Oh, there it is. There's the planet that ring is assigned to. Or no, that was this cloud. Okay, fair enough. Let's send some probes out to these clouds and see what's going on. I suppose these are the other parts of the Etemenanki or something. That's my best guess. In which case, are you also the same, or are you something else? Send a probe over here, and maybe speed time up a little bit as we're making some good progress. I think we should be safe to do that. Hull integrity is looking good, to the point that actually I might be able to shut down one of our EVA airlocks over here, save some power, and sure, -5 is not ideal, but we can afford that, because again, our EVA airlocks in Sector 3 are working only at 63% efficiency, and that number will go higher when damage is done to the hull. So maybe preserving power over here is a good idea, but not just that, it's also letting us know if we are in fact able to sustain ourselves without this EVA airlock for future decision making, right? Like if we want to destroy this, is, well, basically what I'm getting at. Let's speed time up with that said. Food is still looking okay, right? We're in a meal cycle right now. Everyone's getting fed, so that's all well and good. Research is progressing. This is almost done. We have to keep an eye on this to make sure we don't spend any time idle, obviously. It's at 95% now, and I'm feeling very good about our past decision making that has put us in this position right now. So tech lab, let's go ahead and research family at work. All this stuff is supposed to speed up research, but it doesn't actually cheapen the cost of any of these things. It doesn't make one science point go further or anything like that. It just reduces how many cycles it takes to consume those science points and unlock these things, right? So these are helpful, sure, but without actually having science points, they mean absolutely nothing. So computing optimization will be quite helpful with regards to that. Now, our population continues to grow, obviously. We're 100 away from a population of 2K, which is kind of ridiculous. And as soon as Frozen Memories has been accomplished, we should, I think, have should have a population of 2K, I guess, if I'm doing my quick math correctly, but that's we'll see it when it happens. We'll be fine. Electronics over here are coming through. Okay, good stuff, because otherwise this wouldn't have been built. We're waiting for alloys over here. Are we out of alloys? I guess we are, because we're stocking up to help with our colonization efforts, right? Meanwhile, how many colonists do we actually have? We have 150 colonists available, so, you know, we're more than okay as far as that front is concerned. And look at that, this next tech is almost done as well, though, of course, now we've been slowed down by the fact that we've collected all the research there was to collect over here. This is the problem with going at double speed while recording. I'm, you know, trying to say complete sentences, and sometimes time gets ahead of me. But lots of science to be collected over here. This is still stuck over here, the Calypso, but the Galileo is ready to make some moves with the destroyed command center. Why do not we? Wow, that's not English. Why don't we, is what I meant to say. First, investigate further into the Piranesi's attack, because if there are answers through the analysis here, we might be able to prepare ourselves better, right, and avoid the same fate potentially. The Galileo's team will analyze the Piranesi's attack on the Etemenanki. The Tiqqun should be kept in close proximity to supply power. So all these things will need us to stay put. So yeah, okay, let's move quickly here. Investigate further into the Piranesi's attack. Let's go for it. 3 cycles isn't too bad. And apart from that, we have another probe ready to go. Let's go ahead and launch you up over here. We found the collapsed food production district, which, hey, if they've got some food that's still alive, right, and viable, that might be good. And I'm curious what's over here and what's over here. Obviously different districts, I suppose, for different types of production, different types of resources, perhaps. Up over here we have industrial zone wreckage. Okay, so I assume we'd be able to acquire alloys or polymers or electronics from up over here, maybe. Again, I don't want to assume too much, you know what they say about assuming, but I feel like that's a safe-ish kind of a bet. And don't forget that eventually we will be able to move the Tiqqun to these various planets to keep us away from these corpse clouds. I keep calling them clouds. They're clouds of corpses, and that's terrifying to think about, but that's our reality right now, I suppose. Nonetheless, running low on alloys in Sector 3. Why is that? Because we're running low on alloys in general, because they're being used for colonization efforts. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at resource management. Let's make sure that Sector 3 is prioritized as far as alloys are concerned. Sector 1 can be second priority. Sector 3 needs to be top priority. Even though it's not the end of the world right now to lose a bit of hull integrity, I don't want to lose sight of that issue, obviously. So let's bring some alloys over here, shall we? Plenty of iron over here. Plenty of iron up over here as well. We're past topped up on iron, almost to the point that I feel like we could build another steel mill and keep it operational, but I'm leaving this space down over here for potential construction of a, where to go? Waste treatment center, right? This decision is going to wait until we see how our mushroom walls perform with the current flow of waste. I mean, we're maxed out over here and still doing okay. Do you not have enough waste to produce food right now? Why are you not being supplied the waste? There's plenty of it. You got a road connection. What's going on here? It's coming slowly. All right, there we go. Nonetheless, my point being, I want to see if we have surplus waste left over here while still maintaining the situation in Sector 1 before I build that waste treatment or waste, what's it called? Waste treatment center down over here to help us, of course, produce alloys or whatever else it might be that we need. Meanwhile, this notification over here was about, Sector 1 is now specialized in recycling rank 1 and food rank 2. What does that do for us? The cult of the hull is present in Sector 1. Why is that a thing? Why is that a heads up? I worry about this thing, but food tier 2. Food production buildings require 10% less water. Amazing. Buildings produce 30% more waste. Amazing. And sector benefits from stability +1. Oh, that's excellent. My goodness. Recycling tier 1 gives us recycling buildings produce 30% more resources. Very well. And stability penalty from waste buildup reduced by 50%. Oh, dude, that's huge. Okay. This is some good stuff. Now, recycling buildings. Does a mushroom wall technically count as a recycling building? I assume not. Oh, it does. It does. Wait, hang on a second. Yeah, we went from producing 9 food every 3 cycles to producing 12 food every 3 cycles. My goodness, you know what? Previously, I was a little on the fence about our mushroom walls as opposed to our crop fields. But seeing that, oh, I'm 100% satisfied with the decision we made there. This was definitely the right call. Definitely the right call. You know what wasn't the right call? Was allowing this road over here to exist I should have shifted everything over 1 hex, and then we'd have enough room over here for another stockpile. But as it stands now, we don't have room for anything over there, and it's going to, I'm gonna notice it every time we enter Sector 1. But listen, overall, things are looking very good. False sense of security over here. We're done at the destroyed command center, so let's see what we've learned from the Etemenanki. Summary of intelligence on the Piranesi's attack. As the Etemenanki paused in the CRUC system, oh, I get it now. It was surprised and attacked by the Piranesi. Reports indicate colossal casualties. The UN crew was able to find a flaw in the Piranesi's defense systems and managed to mount a boarding assault. The Piranesi responded by firing its main weapon before fleeing the system. The last survivors of the attack who could not enter cryonic pods either died from the cold or slowly asphyxiated in the days that followed. Alright, so we know with relative certainty that the Piranesi is probably no longer still here, but it is going to be wherever we end up next. Then again, the Etemenanki was being built up as this potential behemoth that we'd have to take on, this Goliath that our David would have to defeat. But no, Goliath was wrecked by actual Goliath over here. So the same thing might happen to the Piranesi, who knows. Either way, and the data listing protocol there, and let's go ahead and determine the Etemenanki's previous mission objectives. The Galileo's team will review Etemenanki mission reports to learn more about its objectives. The Tiqqun should be kept in close proximity, yes, to supply power. Sure, that'll take another 3 cycles, not looking too bad. A fair bit of science to accumulate from these nearby wreckage sites. Let's go ahead and send our next probe over to here, see what's going on there, and let's also go ahead and just keep an eye on our tech progress over here. Of course. The thing is that if we could get waste recycling happening in Sector 3, the tech lab wouldn't have to stop every so many cycles to purge waste. But unfortunately, I don't see the need of toying with people's stability here, right? I don't see the value in doing that. So I think I'm going to avoid it for the time being. It's been sustainable so far. Unless it becomes a major problem, there's no reason to fix what isn't broken, as our probe has completed its scan of the reactor wreckage. I'm curious what that'll bring us. As up over here, the Koala is arriving with its first delivery of food. 2 more to go, and then it's going to be all about colonists, as food back on the station is still looking okay, and actually we're seeing a positive balance. Now, the funny thing to consider as well is that, yes, we spent some time upgrading the crop farms, and we're going to still do that because we need industrial enzymes, if memory serves me correctly, to get all the way up to Space Chef, which is going to make a huge difference in terms of feeding people, where 1 food can feed 100% more crew members per meal. That's absolutely huge. So yes, we very much do have to chase after this, but apart from these upgrades to the crop farms, we can now also consider upgrades to the mushroom wall, where permanent moisture can help increase food production speed, short-circuit toilets can help further increase food production speed, and then controlled symbiosis starts with a 15% bump with just an investment of 35 science, right? So those mushroom walls will become even more efficient and valuable if we put a little bit of time and effort into it. So feeling very pleased with our decision making there, as high-risk experimentation field can now be researched, taking us 1 step closer to our actual goal of computing optimization. Meanwhile, it seems as though we've completed our task at the destroyed command center, so let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on over here. Oh, nice. That's going to be very helpful. By powering the command center, Galileo's team was able to extract and analyze core mission data. The Etemenanki was a UN ship initially launched to find other exoplanets. Early data logs from their voyage indicate a glaring lack of preparation to accomplish such a task. In the absence of a habitable exoplanet, they seem to have concentrated on the search for what the UN had designated as enemies of humanity. Dolos and the Ashtongites? Ashton, I forget that. I remember them being mentioned in session 1, but I forget how it's said. Either way, by boarding the Protagoras, the Etemenanki was able to locate Remus. Gotcha. Interesting, actually. So the UN's mission was woefully underprepared, which is, what were we talking about in terms of pattern recognition earlier this session? But that's kind of funny to see. So that the UN was just not prepared for the mission they set out to do, and they had to rely on us, the so-called enemies of humanity, to actually even locate Remus. Nonetheless, end the data listening protocol here, collect that science, and leave the ruins of the command center. The Galileo's crew will gather their equipment and leave the ruins of the command center. That sounds good to me. Let's pick up that science. That'll make a huge difference. And I suppose we have no main objective right now. Oh, of course. Incoming transmission. What do you got for me?
Administrator, we have found the Piranesi signature stored in the Etemenanki's destroyed command center. It is a ship unlike any other in our records, a formidable opponent, now in possession of the Remus coordinates. The eventual failure of the Tiqqun's hull is inevitable. We have no other choice but to confront the Piranesi. Before we leave the system, we must find a way to develop an effective countermeasure strategy.
Now, if I were a betting man, I'd say that these couple of techs up over here are going to be about dealing with the Piranesi, I guess, a rogue spaceship belonging to the Black Market Society. We can't actually do any research here. It's just, that's kind of weird that it takes up a spot here, but okay, it is what it is. But this, I wonder if this has to do with countermeasures. Now, what do we have as our next objectives? The Arc of Humanity have 4 sectors unlocked.
You can implement a new policy.
Thank you. Have 4 sectors unlocked. Awaken 2,000 cryonic pods on top of what we've already done. That is a real kick in the nads. Because if we had just waited to engage with frozen memories, that would have been just a handful of more. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. 25 cycles have gone by. 25 cycles, 5 cryonic pods per cycle. That's 100 and... Oh, actually, that's 125. It would have been nice. Nonetheless, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of cryonic pods out there that will count. The previous ones did not. We also have to store 500 ice. I assume that's cumulative. It might be simultaneously, but I assume it's cumulative. We'll find out, I suppose, in due time. But it does mean we'll have to go searching for ice, which... hang on a second. What's happened over here? We do have some ice out there. Are we not mining it? We are, but it's just a low priority. Let's go ahead and switch this around a little bit. Let's do that. And I think we should also seek out some additional silicon. Right now we're topped up, so it's not urgent, but I don't want it to become urgent. So our next probe should perhaps be sent to seek out some silicon. That'd probably be a good idea. Is there some nearby? There is indeed, alongside some carbon. Let's go up over here. Sure, sounds good to me. We're currently mining iron up over here. Carbon's being left behind. That's all well and good. But apart from that, which is the Arc of Humanity, we also need to prepare for the Piranesi. Find a countermeasure for its attacks. Build enough batteries so that at least 4 sectors will have backup power for 5 cycles. Excuse me? Can I do that by temporarily shutting things down or no? I'm going to assume no. Does that mean... Oh, hang on a second. What? That's going to be a tough one. Are there any technologies available for our batteries that make them a bit more efficient? Battery tier 1. This I always find funny. Why does it say tier 1? Is there a battery tier 2? Same thing with stockpile. It says stockpile small. I guess eventually... Right, okay. I guess it's an upgrade. It's just a funny way to label it. Anyway, battery tier 1. We can increase capacity. Yes, we can. Okay, good. Charging speed is less relevant right now. We can increase capacity by 20%. We can increase capacity... Ooh. We can just get higher tier batteries. Okay. So we might not need to do some funny business in terms of like unlocking extra sectors just to fill them up with batteries or something silly like that. So that's good at least. Stores 700 power at tier 3. Now that's a lot of research required, obviously. We'd need solid state battery. Oh, and then we can immediately go to tier 2 and tier 3. Oh, actually that's not as bad as I'd expected. We would need lithium sulfur battery as well, which also just needs solid state battery. So that's possible, but there are other technologies that are obviously the priority, as described previously. I need to just keep in mind that we can't wait too long on these either, because yes, I do want to leave here before we grow reliant on any resources, here. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. I guess this is everything we got from our investigation at the command center. That's obviously what's happened here. Oh, that's so tempting. There's so much science over here, but which science ship's life am I going to risk? If we take a look at our tech tree, if we take a look at our science ship, we've got deep dive apparatus, exoskeletons, EKP, move them faster. Emergency cryopods will help people survive, I suppose. Automatic ship repatriation. No, there is something here that makes them a little bit better. Oh, I guess not. There's nothing here that would protect them. But there are options for making them acquire more science. Huh. Advanced analytics requires the docking bay to be upgraded. I wonder. Not going to get distracted by that, but it's good to know that those options are there. Why don't we go ahead and send the Galileo over to the collapsed food production district to acquire some of that science and see what's going on over here, try and learn what else happened at the Etemenanki, and try and figure out if we will, in fact, have to, yes, rely on some of the stuff over here. I don't know. I'm hoping we can get everything done and leave before we dive in, but let's be realistic, right? Let's be realistic. That's probably not going to be an option. But folks, not going to find out today. That's going to be a question, perhaps, for next time, because this is where we're calling it a session. I hope you enjoyed this one. Honestly, things have been a fair sight calmer than I'd initially anticipated. This was a terrifying sight to come through to. I was very concerned about how this would end up, but so far, we've managed pretty well, I would say. We've managed pretty well. It's just a matter of maintaining that momentum and maintaining the good decision-making or so I call it, hopefully it was good decision-making, that's maintaining all of our requirements. Look at that. Current average production covers 170% of meal requirements. Feeling very comfortable about that. A little less comfortable about the fact that there are 2,000 cryonic pods apparently in this system. Maybe this is something that will carry from like system to system, but I don't think so. I think there are 2,000 cryonic pods somewhere in this system, which means we'll have to house and feed that many more people. Looks like it's going to be time for unlocking not just one more sector, but maybe 3 whole more sectors over the course of our time in this system. But folks, again, as I was saying, this is what we're calling it a session. I hope you enjoyed this one, folks. If you did, you know what to do. Feel free to let me know down below by leaving a like and a comment. As always, makes a very big difference in just letting me know what people are enjoying on the channel. And I do, again, read through all of the comments. They help me know how people are feeling, what I can maybe tweak in terms of my approach, and sometimes they check me as well and remind me of things like, hey, you know, water versus waste. One of those we have easy access to, the others not so much. So keep them coming, folks. I do enjoy reading through the comments, but apart from that, as always, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big old thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.